Hey everyone, welcome back to the Selfish Griever podcast, season 2. I have been on a break for a few months, and I have to say I am excited to be back recording this first episode of season 2. I quite honestly spent most of my time off not doing a darn thing, but I really needed that break to come back to what is it that I am trying to do here, because I don't just show up to hear myself talk or to think about how can I get 1 million downloads, 1 million listens. I'm really intentional about showing up in this space with something constructive and helpful. And last season, my big focus was giving a sense of community. I wanted you, when you listen to the show, to know that you're not the only one who feels this way. You're not crazy if you're seeing signs, getting dream visitations, or wanting to use a medium to connect with your child on the other side. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you desperate in your grief. It's all real and valid, and there are a lot of grieving parents that feel that same way. And I think that I achieved that. I think I succeeded in bringing parents on the show that shared their stories, and I shared some of my own stories. And so I'm really happy with what came out of season 1. But I realized over the break that community is not all that I want to be able to give in this space. I think community is step 1, and step 2 is giving you hope that it is possible to find a way to move forward and continue that connection with your child on the other side. Because I remember what it was like in the beginning when I was devastated. I was not functioning, and then just barely functioning, and then reached a place where I was handling my grief better, but I had no idea how to move forward from there. And I felt like I didn't hear a lot of people in the grief space talking about what were the next steps. I think that it's become really common and absolutely needed to recognize and validate your pain and your grief and your struggle. And the grief space is doing an amazing job of that in ways that, generations before us did not. So there is amazing progress and absolutely a place for that. But I just felt lost when I got past that stage of being angry, of being resentful, of wishing that I could go back. And when I wasn't doing those things anymore, I didn't know how to move forward. So I don't think I came up with this new direction on my own. If you've been listening to season 1, then you know how much I believe in the universe guiding us. And I can tell you that as I've been working on content for season 2, the guests that have been put in my path or that I've been drawn to seem to be more so spiritual practitioners or grieving parents who've authored books, people that can give you some constructive advice on how they did it, for you to consider your own way on how you can do it for yourself. So that has been surprising when I felt like there were times I was struggling to come in contact with any parents who simply wanted to share their story the way that I had in season 1. It kind of, I'll be honest, gave me some anxiety that this wasn't working out. But I realized over time it is working out. It's just we're shifting a little bit and pivoting to provide a new kind of content in season 2. And with that being said, really what I want you to come into season 2 with, keeping in mind above all else, is following your own intuition about things. And that doesn't just apply to your grief and your grief journey. It applies, to all areas of our life. And as I have started stepping out of my own little bubble of grief and reintegrating back into society and into a business world and what I'm trying to do here, I feel more and more pressure to do what everyone else recommends, right? Follow the tried and true proven paths. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning more and analyzing, what worked for other people. But at the end of the day, what's really going to make you successful is doing it the way that calls to you. And, an example I can give you is I went to a podcasting conference recently in August, and when I was there, people ask you about your podcast. And so, first experience, I told someone it's called The Selfish Griever. And he said to me, "Oh, I'm a marketing expert. Is it okay if I tell you something?" Which we all know, especially those of us that are grievers. When somebody asks us that, it's because they want to tell us something that's offensive, and they just want to get permission first to do so. So I said, "Sure. What do you want to tell me?" And he says, "I don't like the name of your podcast. It's really not good. It doesn't speak to, what you're talking about. I don't understand what it means, and you really should change it." And I personally do approach life from a place of curiosity now. Like, anytime somebody's put in my path, positive, negative, or neutral, I wonder, why that interaction happened. What was the purpose of it? And sometimes in neutral, there is no purpose, but positive and negative interactions, I believe, are the universe trying to communicate something to you. Now, do I think that means that that guy is absolutely right and that the selfish griever is a bad name? No. But did I wonder for a minute if the universe was trying to make me consider if my title or my direction could use some tweaking? Sure, that's possible. But as I spoke to him more, I told him, the selfish griever is called that because I want every grieving parent out there to know that their grief is for them. It's not about your spouse. It's not about your surviving children. It's not about your parents or your extended family. It's not about your community, your best friend, or even your church community. Your grief journey is absolutely 100% about you. And when you can focus on you and what speaks to your heart and what your intuition is telling you, you can serve yourself better, which in turn means that you end up being a better service to your spouse, your surviving children, your family, and your community. And I believe in the power of words. I have always loved reading from a young age. I've loved learning new words, and I think that words can be really powerful. And so to me, I want to take back the word selfish. I don't want to create some new word, some new phrase that I coined to explain how somebody should be considering their needs first before anybody else, and that is the healthiest way to move forward. I don't need to create a new word. There's a word that exists already, but it's been given a negative connotation, and I just don't think that that's necessary. So I heard one time a mentor of mine say that when you're speaking to your audience, you should find, the hill you're willing to die on. I pardon the pun, and you stake your claim there and you battle it out. And that's what makes people either drawn to you or repelled to you, which is fine. I'm not here to speak to everybody. I'm here to speak to the people who need to hear that message. So this is the hill I'm willing to battle till the end on, that I believe there is nothing wrong in being selfish if you're doing it for the purposes of improving yourself first, getting yourself to a healthy place, that then you can be of service to others. And so after speaking to that guy, my conclusion was that the universe put him in front of me to solidify my beliefs and my conviction in what I'm doing here and why I'm showing up in this space. But also there were other things, like when somebody heard that I took a break for between season 1 and season 2, they were like, oh, no, you should never do that. I mean, even if you just go back and put up little 10-minute clips or something, but just put out anything so that your RSS feed doesn't go silent, because then the algorithm will think that you're not coming back and you're going to lose listeners. And that's just the worst thing you can do for your podcast. Well, for me, I was very intentional and present with myself when I made that decision to end at season 1 and give myself a break, because I knew where I was emotionally, mentally, energetically. And I can tell you that I never, ever want to show up in this space just talking to talk, just posting episodes to say that I did it, to fill the space. If I can't show up here for you guys in true authenticity and feeling like I'm bringing you something of value, frankly, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste mine stressing about creating something just to say that I did. So I respectfully understand that person's opinion. Maybe even you want to call it expertise, but I'm going to do what feels right for me. And in all honesty, there are a lot of podcasts out there that are doing season breaks. This is not groundbreaking. I did not come up with this concept. So I think I'm going to be okay. But it's more than just weighing out in comparison, what has somebody else done and succeeded at, that then therefore I think I can do it and succeed too. It's about really recognizing that my intuition told me I needed a break. I needed to pull back a bit. I needed to pause and figure out what was working for me and what's not working, and how can I improve and make it better. And sometimes that's necessary. And that doesn't always mean that you have to take a break for months from whatever it is that you're pursuing. But even on my spiritual journey, there were times, and my grief path, where I was just consuming books, one right after the other, reading them as fast as I could in this desperate bid to try and understand, to try and feel better, to try and honestly push my way through a really hard time in processing my grief. And then I would get to points where I just frankly hit a wall. I didn't have any more in me. I really couldn't focus anymore on the books. I wasn't absorbing their content. I was just glazing over. And I would basically be forced to stop. And I would have times where I would be disappointed in myself. I would tell myself that I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't trying hard enough, that I was letting myself be stuck in my grief by not working on reading and learning more concepts and listening to more podcasts and doing more things. And really, the truth that I embrace now in my life, and work daily to remind myself of is that wherever you're at in your journey right now is where you're supposed to be. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're behind. Frankly, it's impossible for you to be behind. So pressuring yourself, which I think is so common in our society, of this go, go, go mentality, set goals, follow the steps, reach the goals, don't pause, don't take a break, keep up your motivation, think positively, all these things that have a time and a place and a purpose, but ultimately you've got to weigh all of it against your own heart. And I have to tell you, when I was at the podcasting conference, I met this really amazing person, another podcaster who's spiritual. In fact, her podcast is called Empath's Spiritual Awakening. Her name is Lonnie. And she was there overhearing some of these, podcasting experts telling me what I should be doing and what I was totally messing up. And as we were walking away from them, getting ready to leave the conference for the day, I said to her, I appreciate meeting those people and hearing their perspective, but I know the universe is on my side. So whatever I'm doing and however I feel called to do it is exactly the way that I'm meant to be doing it, because the universe is going to bring everything else together. And that's not because I'm super special or I've been, ordained by a higher power with this great purpose. No, the universe is here for everybody. It has everybody's back. The difference is in the people who take the time to recognize that and trust it. And that trust leads to surrender, which can bring you so much peace. Because instead of acting like you're the sole driving engine behind, your train getting to the station, I don't know if I like that analogy, but it's not all up to you. There is something beyond your comprehension, beyond my comprehension, out there collaborating with us. And all we have to do is show up, listen to our own intuition, that guiding voice that's connected to that higher consciousness, and trust that everything's working out the way it's meant to. And so I want really for you to keep that in mind every day. And especially as you show up in places like this podcast that are trying to share information and guidance with you, weigh all of it against your own intuition and your own heart. And if there's something that I say on this podcast or that one of my guests say that does not resonate with you, that makes you feel, that makes you want to just recoil and take a step back, trust that. Trust that 100 all day long, every day. Don't ever give away your intuition and your power to somebody else because they told you what worked for them and that you absolutely should be doing that too. No. So I am really excited for season 2. And I have pretty much all the content already lined up and recorded. So another exciting part that I'm going to be able to do this season that I didn't do last season is on Wednesday episodes. I'm going to kind of give you a little heads up to what's coming on Friday, something to look forward to. And I've got to tell you that I'm really excited because this Friday's interview is one that I did with my grief counselor that I worked with, because I think a lot of grieving parents wonder, should I be getting counsel or am I doing okay on my own? So she and I really dive into who is counseling appropriate for, what are the different kinds of services that are out there, and what are some maybe warning signs that can come up at any point on your grief journey that you should be aware of, because if they start happening, then that's a good indicator. You should start looking for some more support and guidance. So I can't wait to see you guys back here on Friday, and I'm really so grateful for you showing up and listening to the show. And if you haven't already checked out season 1, then I'm going to put a link below to a playlist I put together, my top 5 most popular episodes from season 1 that you could check out and start out with, because I know 45 episodes can be, overwhelming to sift through. So I hope that helps you if you're new to our community, and I welcome you with open arms. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. Have a great day.